Yeah. Y'all already know what it is. It's TkDaPoet. You already know, so you ain't got to quote it. And if y'all spoke it, you already know what that means. Y'all wrote it. We have a special interview today, man. We have Dr. Eric Curry in the building. Um, Before I introduce him and bring him up. Black Room Media. We're doing new things. We got new things going on. We have our sports section. Like, look for the sports guys. The podcast show is finna get ready to start going. We're gonna start doing more outside filming and stuff like that, so we're gonna bring more to this platform. Just blogging, or saying what's on our mind. So we finna get ready to step outside and be outside and entertain everyone. So stay tuned to Black Room Media. Also, I want to promote that I do have my poetry album that I'm dropping February the 29th. So cop that. It's gonna be very, very inspiring. I'm only dropping 7 poems on there, but the message that's in the poems and the message that's in between the poems, that the striving and what mental state I was in is going to be a treat for y'all. So I want y'all to anticipate that and get ready to hear some dope poetry. But that's not why we here. We here for one person, Mr. Dr. Eric Curry. I'm gonna bring him up and let him introduce himself and tell y'all, who he is and what he do and what he's about. Dr. Eric Curry.
TK,
Hey, what's going on, man?
what is up, man?
Hey, man, it's
Uh,
it's Monday.
it's Monday, the Monday after the Super Bowl, man.
Look, what? Hey, let's get into that real quick before we get in deep into Dr. Eric Curry here. Who was you going for?
I was actually going for Kansas City.
Oh, okay. So you thought they was gonna win?
I thought Taylor Swift was going to win.
Like, look, she was a part of the game, though.
Yeah, she is the game. NFL was banking on her, man.
Look,
They
I'm
made
trying
sure
to
she won.
look. I'm telling you, man. Was you worried at any point of that game, because that game was kind of like teeter totter? 49ers, they looked like they was gonna take it home.
I was. That first half, I was looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. I was like, I don't know. They can't move the ball. But then they came back after halftime and they made some adjustments after Kelsey decided he was going to almost knock Andy Reid over
Look,
and yell at
look,
him. And
look.
some changes were made. And next thing you know, they came back.
Look. Hey, I couldn't count Patty Mahomes out, man. At the end, I'm like, that's like Tom Brady. Like, you just don't
Yeah,
give the ball to Tom Brady at the end. Like,
that's it, man.
so I mean, I know, shout out to Kansas City. I know a lot of 49er fans, they upset, they mad right now.
They hurt. They hurt in their feelings, man. They hurt.
But you know what though was so crazy? I ain't never seen this many 49er fans in Dallas. I'm like, where did
That
y'all come from? Like, y'all
that
just
part, they've
popped
been
out of
hiding
nowhere.
out of nowhere.
Look, look, I seen a post on Facebook. They said Dallas won the Super Bowl because the Kansas City Chiefs used to be Dallas. So
Yeah.
hey, we still win at the end, man.
Yep. And
So
then
man,
I
hey,
really enjoyed that halftime show with Usher, man.
boy, did you see he almost slipped and in them skates? He had to
Yeah, I
catch his
did.
balance.
Yeah, he caught himself though.
Look, what you think about the halftime show? I've been hearing a lot of mixed reviews. Mixed reviews. A lot of people say it was good. Some said it was bad. What's your thoughts on it?
I enjoyed it. I'm a diehard Usher fan, so
Okay.
I knew it was a tight window to try to get in some hits. You got to understand, Usher got so many hits, man. He can do
Man,
like 3 or 4 halftime shows and not
look,
do the same song, and it'll all be good. And for him not to do My Way while he was up there, so
oh
like
yeah,
he had a few hits that he didn't even touch, but
right.
the fact that he was able to hit everything and bring out Ludacris and Lil
Look,
Jon, we was all waiting to see that. And then you see
look,
how he wrapped his arms around Alicia Keys.
look. I'm trying to tell you. Look, you know what? Alicia Keys didn't start out too hot though. When she
No, she
first
didn't.
started, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You
No,
should
she
have warmed
didn't.
up.
Now, today, Apple Music released the video and they edited the part where she messed up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so any video out there put out by Apple Music is edited, so it doesn't you don't hear her mess up on the video, which is funny.
Man, look. I need to hear that recording because when she first started singing, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's
Right,
not
we was
Alicia
all like
Keys. Someone gave her some ginger tea or something like that, man, because of kind of crackling. But she did a thing though. I like the performance. A lot of people say they didn't like it, but I mean, it's not everybody cup of tea though. But I feel like it was cool.
Yeah, some people want more time on some of those songs, but you got to realize he got a tight window. He can't,
Right,
do half the song on all those songs.
right.
That halftime show would have turned into a 45-minute set. So he got to get it in there and get out. So I liked it for what it was. I knew it wasn't going to be like a huge full performance, but if you want to see that, you got to get up there to Las Vegas to see that man.
Look, man, but you know what though? What was Usher wearing? I just want to know what type what was he wearing? I was confused. Like
All I know
Usher,
is
like
the
come
end.
on.
By the end of that one situation, he had no shirt on. I was like, "Oh, there go Usher. He half naked."
Look,
But
that's
he
what
had
that's
some blue and black body armor towards the end. I was like, I don't know what
look,
they got that from.
look. I mean, they did good in the dress changes because I'm like, oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
they was on point
show
because
us.
they was in and out. I'm like, oh, I was telling my wife, I'm like, man, he pretty quick with that, man, because I don't think I'll
Yeah,
be able to get it that fast. Like he was
yeah. I
in and
wouldn't have
out.
been able to do it that fast. I'm too big for
Hey,
that.
man, you know what? Talk about too big for. Don't you have a podcast show called Too Big for That?
Yes, I do. I have a show called Too Big for That Show. I'm one of the hosts on there with two other funny fellas who are way funnier than me. So if they watching this video, both of them are way funnier than me. I'm just kidding.
So, tell me, what's the dynamics by Too Big for That?
So the Too Big for That Show, man, this is probably the first time I'm talking about this in the public eye. The way that show started, it was a conversation between me and the guys. We were originally wanting to get on a radio show. So there was a
Mm,
radio show in Dallas that was advertising slots that people could pay for to go on, and they have that entire slot, and you can just get up there, and as long as you follow the rules and regulations that they had,
mm-hmm.
we could do our thing. So we talked about getting on there and just telling a whole bunch of jokes and talking about a lot of different relevant topics, and that ended up not happening. And then one of the guys was like, well, why don't we just do our own thing? And I was like, yeah, because we ain't got to pay for it. We can just set up a camera and just shoot. So we decided to put up a camera. We sat on the
Oh,
couch, and next thing you know, we had an episode. So
okay.
we sat there and we watched the unedited version. Unedited version was like an hour. We edited it down to like a few minutes
Mm.
because some things were a little too funny. Just put it like that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So it we looked at each other and we committed ourselves to try to keep going and not stop. And now, man, we're on episode 17, man.
Oh, 17? Oh,
Yeah,
y'all up there. Y'all up there. Man,
that
hey.
actually. So episode 16 is out now. We're
Okay.
editing episode 17 and 18. So there's two episodes
Okay.
that haven't been released yet, but they've been shot.
Okay.
So we'll be shooting episode 19 here shortly. So we're almost at 20 episodes, and it
Mm.
started as just an idea. And from the backs of this, we've been able to make some brand partners,
Mm.
people investing in the show, people wanting to come on the show, people really like watching us just talk. And this is stuff that we
Yeah.
would do with the cameras off. So the way that we
Right.
talk on camera is the same way we talk off camera. We just decided just to start recording it. So it's pretty cool.
Man, you know what though? That's how a lot of podcasts kind of started, like general conversation. Because a lot of our conversations be dope and be like, man, a lot of people need to hear these conversations because we be saying
Yeah,
some great stuff,
yeah,
when we talk. So it needs to be a podcast. Like everybody be say, man, that need to be a topic on a podcast show. I'm like, you know what? You right. Let's create it. You know,
yeah.
there you go. Let's do it.
And that's how
So
all
where
of
can
them start.
not for real. But where can they find your podcast at?
Oh man, we are almost everywhere. I say almost everywhere because we're not everywhere. We're on
Mm,
TikTok, we're on
okay.
Instagram, uh,
Okay.
and you can search us by on YouTube, mainly YouTube. So if you wanted to look at the shorts and short videos, you can go TikTok, Instagram. If you want to look at the
Okay.
whole episode, you got to go to YouTube, and
Okay.
all you got to do is just type in "Too Big for That" show on any of those platforms. There's nobody else out there with that name,
Mm,
"Too Big for That" show. So that was pretty
okay.
cool. So I was telling one of the guys I met at this place on Saturday, and I said, "Hey, man, just type in 'Too Big for That' show on YouTube." He typed it in, and we're the ones that come up. So nobody else
Mm,
comes up with that name, or no one has ever
that's
used that
fire.
before. It is
That's
fire.
fire.
It's fire, man. So the way that we came up with that name is we were trying to figure out a name for the show, and we were actually just coming off the back of a conversation, talking about things that we were just too big for. And
Mm.
I was telling them I was too big to be jumping on a trampoline with my kids because I jumped on the trampoline at my mom's house. The shit got for
Look,
them, and the springs start busting off of that bad boy. And I was like, "Oh, I need to
look,
get off of this thing." So we
look.
were talking about a whole bunch of other things that we were just too big for, and then we
Yeah.
decided, together, hey, we'll just call the show "Too Big for That." And it was like, yeah, that's pretty good because we all big. Now, hopefully, we don't always be big, but right
Look.
now we big.
Look. Also, that's like a double entendre because also you talking about your size. I'm too big for that, but also then when you start outgrowing stuff, you too big for that. When you
Right.
start outgrowing some stuff, so I like the double entendre though. That's fire.
Yeah, and we have some conversations like that. We have some conversations about things that we're too grown and too adult for, and too manly for to be doing.
Mm,
And some of the things and topics that we touch on throughout the show, we do it with a perspective from comedy, but we're having real conversations. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of different ways to look at the use and the way that we use the name of the show, and we go from us being physically too big because we are,
mhm. Right,
to us,
right. We were just
um,
husky.
yeah, husky. No, I'm big. I'm past husky. I was past husky about 2 years ago when I kept eating them chicken wings.
Look, they was good though.
They still good.
So what is one of the topics that y'all was talking about recently on one of your podcasts? Just to give people a
Oh
little.
man. So one of the topics recently that we're talking about on the podcast, ooh, um, without giving away some of the episodes, I think we were talking about one of the episodes. We were talking about Will Smith and Jada, and
Mm,
that situation has kind of died down a little bit.
yeah.
Um, but we do that from a comedic perspective. But it's a real situation where
Hmm.
Will and Jada, a lot of their businesses out there, and a lot of it is what they tell us,
Right.
and they tell us that they are together, and then they come back and tell us that there was a period that they were separated. It was like which lie do we believe?
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's important for us as individuals to represent ourselves in the community in good light, but at the same time, there should be a level of transparency. And I think that it's unhealthy for the youth of today to see a lot of broken relationships with our black celebrities, because right now you can count on one hand probably successful black relationships that there's not been any toxicity that is spewed out into the public's eye. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a hard thing to kind of equate when you talk about, the situation and the state that we're in the year of 2024, with people in relationships, especially within our Black community, where people are
Mm-hmm.
not staying with each other as long as they did back in the older days.
But you know what though? They try to push that culture on us and tell us this is our culture. Seeing we don't see long lasting relationships and stuff because like if we look at the entertainment, that's all it is. It's entertainment. It's contracts. Oh, I'm gonna
Right.
stay with you with this long, and we're gonna do
Right.
this. Then we're gonna go our separate ways. It's like they living out of country. They not doing this for love. Like
Right.
so they doing for the money. That's why a lot of this stuff don't last like it's supposed to. But they supposed to standard that we supposed to look at. But what standard is that?
Yeah, and I agree. And that's the problem that exists today is that we buy into those relationships, and then when they
Mm-hmm.
fail, it becomes the norm. So then we
Mm-hmm.
have everyday people who believe that they have options as well, and they don't need to be committed and stay with the person that they with because they feel like they can always find somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned along my journey is that there's no one woman. There's no two women that are the same. All of them are different.
That's a fact.
All of them are unique. So if you
Mm-hmm.
lose a good one, you'll never find another one like that.
Right.
So if you find
No.
a good one, you better hold on for dear life.
Yeah, yeah, man. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold on to mine with two hands, man. She be trying to run away, but I try to tackle her sometimes. Like, nah, you ain't getting away. So
Hey, I'm trying to hold on with mine with two hands, two legs. If I got to bite her, I'll bite her. I'm just kidding. I won't bite
Look.
her.
But no, we really need to see that more often. That that's why I be affectionate to my wife in front of the boys and stuff like that to show them like it's okay to love on a woman and stuff like that. I'm trying to show them good values that you're supposed to take care of a woman and stuff like that. So when they get their wife, they'll know how to treat them. Know that family is very important. I think that's something that we're missing in this day and age is the family aspect because not nine's out of not gonna say nine's out of 10. It's just a lot of families that don't stay together. It's a lot of broken homes.
Yeah.
There's multiple homes, multiple houses and stuff like that. So it's the family aspect is dying down. But when we gonna get back to actually starting families again?
It starts with us, man. As young Black men, we gotta do the exam, set the example for the generation of today of what that looks like. And I think that any successful Black relationship in today's time needs to be built on principles that are agreed upon by the two people who are in that relationship, and everybody needs to be locked in. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes people expect for nothing to ever happen and nothing to ever go wrong, and they love or they commit themselves with condition. And if you want to be in a successful and long lasting relationship that lasts and endures through tribulation, then you have got to be prepared to encounter some things that you may not have encountered before. And I think
Yeah.
that the best type of people to attach yourself to for your journey are not people that are with you when things are going good, but the people who
Right.
remain when adversity comes. Those people when you're not being the best version of yourself, they're still there. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the type of people that you want to attach yourself and journey yourself with. So I think it's important for us to set that example of surrounding ourselves with people who are like-minded and are headed in the same direction of us as us, and have no intention of plans to deviating or leaving us behind.
So so what would you tell young people that's in relationship now? Like, what would your be advice to young couples?
Focus on yourself.
Mm,
Sometimes we're looking for people that we're with to be better and to do better and to be different, or or to change, and we're the ones that need to change. We're the ones that need to be better. And if you focus more on yourself and you be the best person for them rather than expecting them to be the best person for you, then you'll make it a whole lot farther. And sometimes we're expecting other people to do some things that we're not willing to do. And we're
Mm.
expecting people to be things that we're not willing to be. And we're not even willing to put in the work to be those things. And I think that sometimes we put the right expectations on the wrong people, but sometimes we don't have good enough expectations for ourselves. And I think that if
Mm.
you want to have a successful relationship, then you got to ask yourself, am I doing enough to make that person feel comfortable journeying through life with me? Am I being consistent for them to feel comfortable around me and put their
Mm.
trust in me? Am I showing them that I'm trustworthy? Do they feel safe with me?
Right.
That's not just about being physically safe. We're talking about emotionally safe.
Hmm.
To be able to feel free to say what's on their mind to you without hurting your feelings, and it's
Right.
something that is constructive rather than destructive. Because
Mm.
sometimes we take things that people are saying to us that are designed to help us the wrong way, and we allow those things to be destructive when really it should be constructive. And I think that if
Mm.
you're gonna be in a relationship with somebody who is also iron, then you should be iron because iron sharpens iron. And there's gonna be some friction when you sharpen each other.
So I got a question for you. You was talking about, starting with yourself.
Yeah.
So when was it, or what point of time when you realized like, okay, I need to work on myself because I don't like the person I am. I need to really change who I am. What point of your life that you felt like you have to change who you were?
Full transparency,
Hmm.
in the middle of my marriage,
Mm.
in
Let's talk
the
about that.
middle of the marriage, things were going array, and they were getting out of control with everything that was happening. And I was expecting for the other person to do better and be better. And uh, when I realized that they didn't have the capacity to be more than who they were in the moment that we were in, I took a look in the mirror and I said, if there's any chance of us making it, then I need to be better. So I took a look in the mirror and asked myself, what am I not doing? Um, what could I do better? And what areas of myself need to improve? And when I took the time to identify with some things about myself as a man, as a husband, and as a father that I could be doing better, then I really was able to position myself to navigate away from placing blame in my relationship on somebody else about where we were. And sometimes when you really take a look in the mirror, you identify that it's not always the other person's fault.
Right.
Sometimes you have your part to play in that too.
Mm.
And it's important as a man to identify when you're wrong and when you could do better and be a better man. And I identified where I was in that moment, and I determined that I could do better and be better. Now, sometimes when you do that, it doesn't mean that the other person will take heed and do better themselves. So
Right.
sometimes you just got to do better and be better for you. And ultimately, it paid dividend into who I am today. Um, and we ended up headed in two different directions because I wanted to continue on being better than who I was the day before, and I didn't want to keep being who I was day after day and not changing and not elevating and not becoming more of who I'm supposed to be. So here we are today, and you got the best version of Dr. Eric Curry, in front of you right now.
I mean, what was that? How long was that process though? Was it like immediately change, or did it take you some time to really come into the person that you are today?
It's a journey. I'm still becoming.
Mm.
I'm still becoming. And I think that whenever you feel like you've made it in your journey to where you can't grow anymore, then maybe you should consider that you're not as mature as you think you are, because true wisdom is understanding you never know as much as you think you do, and that includes things that you may or may not know about yourself. And I think that learning yourself and developing yourself, committing yourself to self development, it's a lifelong journey. And there's always somebody that has been through more than you. There's always
Right.
somebody who could teach you something. And I think that if you continue on in your journey in life, you'll discover that life still has something to teach
I mean, you most definitely right about that because, like, I felt like with my journey, I knew that I overcome a lot of hurdles that I placed for myself. It wasn't life, giving me hurdles. I was putting hurdles in front of myself and running back and jumping over them. I was doing double the work. So then,
you.
I actually had to realize, like, okay, I need to change this. And it's a long process. Like you said, I'm still learning today because the Bible said if a man say he knows something, he knows nothing at all.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning because I don't know nothing. I'm still learning. So it's a journey. It's one hell of a journey. But you know what? It's one thing I say. I'm glad it made me who I am today. If it wasn't for my past, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be doing this right now if I didn't go through, some of the stuff that I've been through. So this is the version people get when I done been through hell and hot water and I
Yeah.
made it out. So and that's what's important in my eyes. Overcoming your hurdles and realizing, okay, I need to make myself better.
Yeah. I
So
think that it's the maturation of becoming a man. Um, because I remember as a kid looking at a 36-year-old man, to me, that was a grown man.
mm,
And now at the age of 36, to me, a 66-year-old man, that's a grown man.
mhm.
And, you get to this age and you realize, man, it's not about age, it's about experience and the things that you go through in life. And some people, they go through a whole lot more than other people, even quicker, depending on what their situation is and the environment that they were in. And
Look, not to interrupt you, but this is a good question I have.
yeah,
When did you realize that you became a man?
um, it was when my oldest daughter, when we got back home from the hospital.
Mm,
When we got back home from the hospital with my oldest daughter,
mm,
that's when it hit me.
mm,
Yeah, because
mm,
it's different now. Because now I'm responsible for the well-being and the safety of a whole other human being. This is
mm.
mine's, and if
Look,
something happened with this one, or if this one doesn't, amount to anything, everybody's looking at me.
hmm
Yeah,
that's a fact. That's a fact. Man, you know what is so crazy? I don't know how men can walk away from their kid. Something that they produce, and it boggles me because I had a couple of people that I know. They were like, "Well, it's my baby mama. My baby mama always be tripping and all this other stuff." And I be thinking in my head, like, "Okay, so what? Be a man and fix it."
yeah,
I know it's not that easy as I said, but as your duty as a man, you supposed to fix the problem.
yeah,
And I don't understand with some men why you wouldn't want to fix the problem because at the same time, that's less stress on you if you can fix the issue. It don't have to be a battle between man and woman. That relationship can be rectified if both parties try. And sometimes the men got to try a little bit harder because we are the leaders. We got to lead by example. We got to lead from the front.
Yeah, I think it's important for men that have navigated to situations to where they're not in the same relationship with their children's mother to
Hmm.
figure out a way to make it work. And that may be different for different people depending on what the
Right.
situations
Hmm.
are surrounding y'all relationship. But I think that at the bare minimum, the man should do everything that he can to be
Right.
a part of his kid's life. And some women are different than other, and they make it a lot more challenging
Hmm.
than other women.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing women no safety net, because they be playing a valuable part in this process too. So
yeah,
even with the women, they have to understand, like, okay, maybe I need to look at myself and figure out, okay, why this relationship is like this. Why do we have to always argue? Two parties have to come to agreement to make things work. So
yeah, I
it's
agree.
so y'all
But I
women
think
out
it comes
there,
down
hey.
to maturity because some people, and that's both men and women, some people are not mature enough to
Yeah.
have those types of conversations to come to a compromise. Yet alone be in a situation to where they're responsible for other human beings. And this is the dilemma that we have. We got kids raising kids.
Right, right.
And when you got kids raising kids, arguing with kids about how to raise their kids, or people not raising their kids, then you end up with a
Mm.
situation where there's going to be some traumatic moments for that child.
Man, these kids, they're smart. I would say they far more advanced than what I was at their age because of technology. But also these parents, like a lot of these parents try to be friends with their kids. And there's nothing wrong, being friends with your kids, but also you have to be a parent at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids, like, look, I'm not here to be nice. I'm here to make sure that I protect you and guide you and instill the right things into you.
Hmm.
Being nice is a luxury. I have to
Yeah.
do my job before you go out there into that world. And I will do my job at any means necessary. I will do my job to prepare you for this world, because I'm not going to allow you to come out into the world not prepared. That means I didn't do my job preparing you.
Yeah. I
So,
think it's important. And I love the way that you use the word prepared
mhm,
because the way that kids need to be prepared today is different from when we grew up and then different from
right.
when our parents grew up. You see,
Hmm.
my grandparents, when they grew up, their parents was preparing them to deal with a high level of insensitivity and
Hmm.
racism and prejudice, and
Hmm.
how to talk to people when they walked out the house to make sure that they made it back home safe.
Right.
And those are the types of conversations that they would have. And the conversations that we would have today are different from what they had. I got to make sure
Hmm.
that my daughters know who they are, so that
Right.
nobody else try to tell them who they are. I tell them that they're
Right.
beautiful. I tell them that they're
Right.
smart. I tell them that their
Right.
last name is Curry and they're
Hmm.
winners, and we don't give up. Even if we lose, we learn from our losses because we're winners.
Mm.
Um, and we do
Oh.
everything that we can to prove to ourselves that we can do it. And if we don't get it right the first time, we try again. We pick ourselves up and we dust ourselves off because that's who we are. So I make sure that
Mm.
every time my daughters are in my vicinity, they understand and they hear from me and they know exactly who they are. So nobody else tells them who they are. And I make sure that I treat
Mm.
them right. I take them places. I wine and
Mhm.
dine, not wine. I don't give my kids
Right.
alcohol. But I take
Kool-Aid
them
and dime.
I take them out and I get them things so they're not impressed by some of these little boys who go and buy them stuff.
Right.
My
Right.
daddy took care of me like that. So you got to come with more than just buying me stuff. So I try
Yeah.
to make sure that I impart in things in them that help build their character and help solidify their principles on life and who they are. That way, when they grow up, they're strong black women who believe in themselves and and they stand for something, so they don't fall for anything.
So look, I gotta ask you a question. Like when we talk about our daughters, like how do you protect them from the internet, from looking at the sexy reds, the Cardi B's, and don't get me wrong, these women are actually women, actually you know, great women, but at the same time, what they promote is, it's entertainment. And so
Right.
I be telling women all the time, this is not who they are in real life. This is just a persona, personality they perform for y'all. But how do you tell your daughter, okay, what you see on TV is not reality?
So I start with making sure that they identify between right and wrong. And some things that they see and hear, whether it be on TV or they actually hear it in person, some things are not right. And when they see things that are not right and they know it's not right, then they don't repeat it. They don't try to portray it. And I think where we miss the mark as parents is we try to hide our kids from everything. Look, we in 2024. If your kids got a device, they have access to everything. So we have to
Right,
make sure that they understand that they're not supposed to look at everything and they're not supposed to watch everything, so that when I'm not around you, or no one else is around, you know the difference between right and wrong, and what you should be watching and listening to, and what you should not be watching and listening to. So when they see those women, doing those videos and dressing that way or talking that way,
hmm,
for one, they know the difference between right and wrong, and they know who
right,
they are, and they know what they
okay,
stand for. So there are going to be women out there who dress a certain way, but that doesn't mean that you have to dress that way, because you are
right,
a woman of integrity. Not to say that she doesn't have integrity, but
hmm,
because the way she dressed, it makes it look like she doesn't have integrity,
right,
doesn't have care for her body or her image. And you, as a young woman, you will dress modest, you will cover up, and you will make sure that you're not revealing things to little boys, because everything is not meant to be shown. And you want to make sure that you are kept. And those are the types of conversations a father should have with his daughter, to make sure that he establishes what that's supposed to look like. Now, as a man, I think it's important for any young woman to actually visualize and see what it is supposed to look like. So you need to have women in her life that show them what a good woman dresses like, how a good woman talks, how she walks, how she goes about her daily business, what it looks like and feels like to be her, and have them around her and in her vicinity. That way, when they see the contrast or the opposite, they know that that's not right.
and and what, with me, I find it kind of hard. I wanted to switch gears, real quick, turn up, make a quick right. But in saying that, like watching TV, and we're supposed to go to church and get enlightenment, but you hear stuff that go on with is it Rudy Rush and Pastor TD Jakes, like
Yeah.
going into the era, like we know we're not supposed to feed into the world, but when the world corrupts the church, like how do you bounce back from saying, oh, like it's like damn if I do, damn if I don't.
So I was actually just having this conversation with somebody else, and there's a situation in the Bible where they had caught this lady cheating, and they brought her to Jesus, and they wanted
Hmm,
her to condemn her. So he looked
hmm,
around at everybody. He said, "He that is without sin, cast the first stone." So if you feel like you are in a position to, stone her, then you need to be without sin.
hmm,
Um, and nobody was able to do it. So they dropped their stones and they left. The moral of the story is, even people in positions in high authority in churches, everybody's a human being. We all have to answer to God, and everybody's
right,
not perfect. And people make bad decisions. People do things that they're not supposed to be doing. But at the end of the day, we're all God's children. And I think that at some point, we have to extend grace to people who make bad decisions. And that grace is the same grace that I need, is the same grace that TD Jakes needs as well. So I don't know all the things that TD Jakes has done in his life, but to your point, it's detrimental to the community when a high
Mm-hmm.
level figure that's over the
Mm-hmm.
church was accused of doing things that are not godly. And how are
Mm-hmm.
we supposed to bounce back from that? And the thing is, well, we don't worship TD Jakes. I worship God. So if TD Jakes did something that he wasn't supposed to do, then TD Jakes needs to go and repent just like I do when I do something I'm not supposed to do. And if TD Jakes is willing to do that, then we good. But if you want to try to act like you ain't done nothing and everybody's saying that you did, then that's the problem.
Right.
But not to say that TD Jakes has done anything or hadn't done anything. I think it's important that as a
Just
man,
allegedly. Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly. But I think it's important as a man that if I did something that was not right, that I admit to it and I apologize. And I think that that's what we need. That's what we need more of. We need more of people telling the truth about what they did and owning up to it and asking for forgiveness. And we
But
need
I
people that
mean,
are willing to forgive.
but I understand that. Like, I just feel like when you in a certain position, you
Yeah,
know, you can't do that. I mean, yeah, you
yeah,
can. We the Most High forgive, but as this world is today, the world is not forgiving. They may forgive, but they would surely not forget, and they
right.
go and they go drag you for this for a long period of time. So I feel like, yeah, I understand that you can get clarity from the Most High, but from the people that you, because let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. People worship TD Jakes. Let's
Yeah,
be honest. Let's be honest. Let's keep it a buck. He has some followers. They look at him like he's the next to Jesus. You know,
yeah,
So, but my thing is for you to, let those people down. But also, I don't know, he might have a whole little, allegedly have a whole little camp that do little freaky stuff. I don't know. You
yeah,
know, now like, but on a cool, like I've been in the circle of pastors and stuff, and I've seen a lot of corruption in the church. And these pastors, they preach a good word. I'm not gonna lie, they are gifted. They have the gift of gab. They can talk,
yeah.
but it's like they action don't line up to the message that they be putting out. And it's like, how can you knowingly live a double life and still go up there in the presence of the Most High and act like you just the perfect being?
That's a good point. I think that for any individual who has been given the task of being a shepherd over people and being responsible for leading people to Jesus, I think it's important that you operate with a level of integrity
Mm-hmm.
for the
That's
role
it.
that you're in.
Integrity.
And what I want to encourage people to do is that if you find yourself in a situation to where your pastor has been caught in a scandal and have been accused of doing some things that are, unthinkable, then I want to encourage you, even if you decide to leave that church or that pastor, don't leave God, because God
Right.
didn't do what they
Right.
did. And sometimes people leave the faith altogether because of
Mm-hmm.
what somebody else did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, God did do it, so don't blame God for what somebody else did. Stick with God, and He'll surround you with people that are faithful to Him. And I think that it's important for us as human beings to identify with ourselves where we are. And sometimes we put expectations on other people that we don't even put on ourselves.
You're right.
Because
You're
what
right
if
about that.
I couldn't imagine being in TD Jake's shoes. Why? Because I don't do everything right. I don't make
Hmm.
all the right decisions. And if a spotlight was on me like that in my life, and the decisions and the mistakes that I've made, well, people be dragging me through the comments too. So
Hmm.
I think
Right.
people, to some degree, I think we have to operate with the level of grace, for individuals who are in that spotlight. Because sometimes people get accused of doing things that they didn't do, and sometimes people actually did it. So I don't know. But what I will say is that what if it was you and you was hoping that somebody would just pray for you and just show you some grace, even if they don't even rock with you like that. Like just say, I'm not coming to your church, but I'll pray for you from a distance. That God work on you, and make you better.
But see,
And
but
for our,
my thing is, but my problem is that like TD Jakes, you know the Bible,
yeah,
and I understand that we all man, and but at the end of the day, you know better. Like then that's why I like in a poem that I wrote, I said we ask for help, but do we really need it? When we read your word, do we really believe it? Because if we do, we wouldn't feel like this, or we wouldn't live like this. We wouldn't feel like this. We wouldn't have to risk. So my thing is, if you reading this word and you say that you believe everything, every word that's in this Bible and stuff, how can you let yourself do that? That means you don't believe what you read. I
or they're
mean,
corrupted.
but I mean, as long as you've been pastoring, long as you've been sitting on that pulpit preaching these sermons, 100 sermons, thousands of sermons, and for you to say this is okay, no, this can't be okay. I mean, even like people like, correct me if I'm wrong. The Most High said He would harden his ear to you.
No, you're right. I think, but also I want you to consider, especially for people that are in the heights of positions like TD Jakes. There's this old saying that the elders used to say that for every level there's a different devil,
Right,
and the higher up you go, the more challenges that you have to deal with,
that's a fact.
and sometimes people find themselves in situations that in the moment that they're in, it can be overwhelming. And the enemy is always seeking and roaming the earth to seek who he can devour because he's out to steal, kill, and destroy. So we have a situation where TD Jakes is up against things every single day that people may not ever know about, that he battles. And sometimes he loses those battles, and sometimes he wins. And I think that it's important for us as a community, to identify with T.D. Jakes, the man, and not the pastor. And I think that if we look at him as just a regular man, then the situation changes with the
But I
expectation.
mean, but
Yeah.
hold on, we can't look at him as a regular man because he's not a regular man. Like
Yeah.
let's keep it a buck. We can't look at him as like he's an average man, or no, he's not that. He put himself on a pedestal, and I understand, like, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
he's not like the normal person, because you didn't put yourself on a higher pedestal than most people. You
Yeah.
know, I can say something and TD Jakes can say something and they take it over mine. So we can't
Yeah.
say he's just an average person. He
Well, I
put his
was I was speaking from the perspective of how we decide to view the way we distribute grace and the way that we proceed, even post the situation. Because sometimes people will hold stuff against you that you did a long time ago, and like you said, sometimes people
Mhm.
will forgive, but they won't forget. And
Right.
I think that sometimes we hold things over people's head that they've done, and they've already asked for forgiveness. And if God can forgive them, why can't we? You know?
But you know what though? Honestly, what he asking for forgiveness for? I mean, we're not TD Jakes, and we don't know what he's asking for forgiveness for. But my thing is, what are you actually asking forgiveness for when you know and you decided to go against knowingly? So
Yeah,
what are you, you know, what are you apologizing for? Why are you asking for grace when you decided yourself?
yeah,
You knew, ain't like he was ignorant and didn't know.
yeah.
So
So,
how can you ask for grace when you intentionally, allegedly, intentionally, did what you did? And like I like to me, like eh, let's say if I was in a situation where I need to go to the Most High, I'm like, look, Most High, just have mercy on me. That's
yeah,
the only thing I can ask for. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I need your grace and everything, but right now I know what I did and I did it knowingly. Only thing I'm
right,
asking you to do is have mercy on me.
right. Yeah, that prayer right there, I pray that same prayer.
Look,
I need His mercy, and I
look.
think we all need His mercy. And I think that if all of us live long enough in our lives and our journey, we're all going to find ourselves in a place where we need some mercy from God.
Hmm.
And I think that some of us need a little bit more than others, depending on what we
Look.
did and the situations we found ourselves in. And for to your point, for TD Jakes being a man that knew better, and
Hmm.
knows better and knows the word of God,
Hmm.
he'll need more than most.
Right.
Um, Especially when we all have to answer to God for the things that we've done. And
Right.
I think that it's important for us as individuals to learn from our mistakes and the decisions that we've made and be better than who we were the day before. And I think as we learn and we grow, we just do better. We just do better.
Hmm. You know what? I think that was the key of this show was the message for mercy. Because I don't know why that came, but mercy. A lot of people always asking for forgiveness or repenting for things that they knowingly they did. And it's like, how can you ask me to forgive you when you intentionally did it? And you're gonna
Yeah.
intentionally do it again. So
Yeah.
I want people to really put in their prayer, ask for mercy, because you know what you're doing. We're
Right.
not gonna act like as we as a people, as we as a whole, don't know what we be doing. We know right from wrong, and
Yeah.
we steady want to ask for forgiveness, but we're not asking him to have mercy on us.
Yeah.
So I think this I want to say this point of if anyone's listening, ask the Most High to have mercy on you, because we know what we do.
Yeah. I think sometimes He extends mercy to us even when we don't ask for it.
Right? You right.
Because
You
if
right.
He hadn't shown His mercy towards me, I wouldn't be on this call today. I'd be
Look,
somebody's grave.
look, look.
So I'm thankful.
Hmm.
And the beautiful thing about mercy is that it comes from God, and I'm glad I'm not God because a lot of
Ooh.
people, a lot of people would be really mad at me if I was God.
Look,
Uh,
look.
but He allows His grace and mercy to follow us. And even when we know it or don't know it, sometimes He allows that grace and mercy to touch us and keep us in moments where we don't deserve it. And what I love about this entire conversation is that I think that it really creates a moment for people who may have been in situations where they were at a church with a pastor who fell or did something that they weren't supposed to do or said
Hmm.
some things that they weren't supposed to say, and they walked away from it all. It creates a moment for them to really, really reconsider just not giving up on God, because if you don't give up on God, He won't give up on you.
Hmm. Hmm. Nah, that's a fact. But you know what though? I used to say, when my mom passed away, why you take my mom away, or why you did this and why you did that. But when you said like to make those decisions to be God and make those decisions, like our ways, our thoughts are not his thoughts. But for you to have to be the person to make that decision, it was a movie that me and wifey had watched. I don't know, I forgot the name of the movie, but it was about a man that he took his eyes off his daughter, and one of his daughter was on a boat, and she flipped off the boat, and he went to try to go save her. And when he came back, his daughter was missing. Someone had took her. So someone had killed her and stuff, and then like he had went into a trance or something like that. Then he was approached by an angel, and they was giving his tour of heaven and stuff like that. And he was upset with God. He was like, why you let this person, take my daughter? He took her and raped her. Like, why would you put my daughter through this? What type of higher being are you to put a child through this? And then he was going through all these little, it's like the Christmas the Ghost of Christmas, the Christmas story, whatever,
Oh
when they
yeah,
going through
gotcha.
different. So it was kind of like that. And it came to a point where they was like, you got to choose between which one of your kids go to heaven and which one of your kids go to hell. And they was pressuring him to make this decision, and he's like, I can't make the decision. He's like, no, you got to make the decision. One of them going to heaven and one going to hell. Choose now. And he couldn't do it. So it's like, we always question the Most High, why this happened, or why this. Like, he had to make some tough decisions,
Yeah, he does.
like some hell of decision. And the thing is, at the end of that movie, the angel, she said, she took the Most High took her because he knew what she was gonna go through.
Hmm.
The life that she was gonna live was not gonna be great, so she took her now.
Mm.
He had to make that decision, but that's why I'm saying, like, the decisions what we live on a day-to-day basis is nothing about the decisions that he had to make every second.
Right.
So it's, yeah, I couldn't be God. I,
Yeah.
no,
Me neither.
that's look, I don't want that burden.
I
But
I
what's so
certainly.
crazy? What's so crazy in the scripture? He said his burden is light, though. Take
Yeah.
my yoke, because my yoke is much lighter.
Yeah.
So
His joke is easy. Yeah.
so if his yoke is lighter, we couldn't do that. Nah,
Yeah.
we could. He was telling you, like, this is light for me, but this ain't gonna be light for you.
Yeah.
The stuff that you going through, nah, you can't deal with that. So it's like, he said, take up mine, let me take the person off because I can deal with it. Because I gotta deal
Yeah.
with all this other stuff. And I can deal with yours. So
Yeah. And
he's like,
I'm glad you
yeah,
brought that up because in that situation, when Jesus was talking about his yoke, he was referring to people who have their own burdens, and he
mm-hmm,
wanted them to lay their burdens down and take
right,
upon his yoke because his yoke was lighter than theirs.
mm-hmm.
And what he was saying is sometimes we put more on
On
ourselves,
sales, see, right.
and God will never
Mm-hmm.
put more on us than we can bear.
We can
But
bear.
sometimes we put more on ourselves and we
Mm-hmm,
weigh ourselves down to where we wear ourselves out. And sometimes we
mm-hmm.
think it's other people or other situations. So no, sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's us making us tired and making us sick. And we allow so many things in life and situations to wear us out and wear us down. Sometimes you gotta let some things go and move on with your life.
No, no, most definitely. Because like that is tiresome. Holding on to grudges, holding on to your past. And people don't understand, like, I've been in different relationships where they was probably molested, or or something tragic happened to them, and they carry this weight for their whole entire life. and their life was in shambles because they couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
And some things that we just have to let go and let God.
That's
Sometimes
it.
we just gotta just lay the rest like and continue life because these people live a miserable life because they
Hmm.
can't get over a tragic situation that happened. That was me at a point until I had to realize that wasn't my fault. So
Yeah.
we put a lot on ourselves, yeah, and it can kill us.
Sure can.
And that's why he said, let me take that back off of you because you finna kill yourself. Let me
Yeah.
put this on you.
That's
Don't that
it.
feel better?
Yeah.
You know, shoot. So it's like, you absolutely right about that, man. But but one thing and two things I say, get your relationship to whoever you want to pray to. You know, I'm not a person that I can't put you. I ain't got a heaven or hell to put you into. Whatever you believe in is whatever you believe in. But at the end of the day, just know that you have to stand before a higher being and answer for the things you've done.
Yeah.
And that's one thing and two things. That's why I say I love people. I love people for who they are.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you have to answer for that. I can't stand before you and say, oh, this person was a great guy, or even if I say this person was a horrible person, that's not going to waver on what he want to do. So you're
Right.
gonna have to stand in that fire alone. So that's why I say whatever people believe in, hey, if it makes your boat float, hey, rock with it. You know. But
Yeah.
my life, my favorite poem, my life, not yours.
My life, not yours. Yeah. That's
But
it.
hey, before we get off of man, we could like there's a lot of stuff we get into, but before we get off of here, you are a poet, aren't you?
I am. I am a poet.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
man, if you got a little bit more time, can we dive into that a little bit, if you don't
Okay. Yeah,
mind?
yeah, we can dive into that a little bit.
Okay. So look, so what got you into poetry? Let's talk about it. What got you into poetry?
Uh, so man, that's a good question. That's a real good question. So I grew up in a family of music.
Mm,
My entire dad's side of the family did music, and if you were in the family, you either had to play something or an
mm,
instrument, or you had to sing.
mm.
So when I was younger, I really took to the drums. I couldn't sing all that good, so
Okay,
I
so you
was
went
I
on Gerald Levert.
struggled. I struggled on the drums a little bit, and I couldn't sing all that good. And I was in the music family, so I had to
Mm,
figure it out. So while I was trying to learn the drums, I started writing lyrics to songs. So I would
okay.
listen to other people's songs and I would rewrite their lyrics the way that
Mm,
I felt like the song should go.
mm,
And and it went from writing lyrics to writing rhymes to writing poetry.
okay.
And throughout my middle school years and high school years, I was involved in speech. I was
Mm,
involved in theater. I was involved in choir, and I was on the speech team, and I would write different speeches, compete in competitions, and on the side, I developed this alter ego called Jack of Poetry.
mm,
So um, a lot of my poems were dealing with a lot of the things. At the time, I didn't realize it, but as I got older and went back and started reading the poems, it was dealing with a lot of the things that I faced growing up in a broken home with either
mm,
my dad in one city and my mom in another city. And I would express myself through poetry and talk about how
mm,
I felt. So even in the songs that I wrote, I would sing songs to talk about how I felt in that moment in my life.
mm,
And poetry became my outlet to be able to talk about how I really felt until I navigated to a space to where I didn't need to write it down. I could just talk about it. And I
Mm,
think I can relate to a lot of people who have a lot to say but have a hard time saying it. So you write it down and you get your heart on paper. And I'm one that if you give me time, man, I could put my heart on some paper.
look.
And that's what I started to do. And I felt safe in that arena. And I had some of my poems published on Poetry.com.
Mm,
And I actually won an award for one of my poems on Poetry.com back in the day when there was a Poetry.com. It doesn't exist anymore.
mm.
Uh, but I won an award for Poem of the Year. So it was pretty dope that I actually got a chance to win that award. Poetry has always been a part of my fabric and who I am, and I believe that it is a way of expressing yourself, and for a lot of people, it leads to a lot of different areas, and for some people, poetry is their thing, man. And I think
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
different levels to this. So some
Hmm.
people are writers, and some people are performers, and some
Hmm.
people are really, really good at both.
So
And
what's the difference between writing and performing? Like, don't you have to write your performance in there? I mean, what is the difference?
oh, so some people write poems that are designed to be read by others. So they
Okay.
write with the intent for people to paint them a picture while they read.
Hmm.
This is not designed to be performed because they don't have any
Mm,
intention of performing it. And then
mm,
some people write their poetry to be performed in front of others, so that and you may read the word, but it's not about how you read the word. It's about how I say that word, right?
hmm.
How I put that emphasis on that word, or how I slow
Okay.
it down, or how I speed it up, how I give it that oomph, right? And it
Right.
changes the dynamic of the whole poem when I say it the way that I feel, right? So
Right.
that you feel me along with my words. And that's where
Mm,
the performance comes in. It changes the dynamic and the feel of the poem itself.
mm. So I guess that what category would you put me in?
I put you in the category where you are an elite writer and elite performer. So you're both.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But
Yeah.
you know what? I really never thought about people just actually reading my poems and stuff like that. And because when I write, I just write. And people ask me like, how do you come up with your material that you write? I'm like, look, it's the Most High. Because some of the stuff I be writing be shocking me at some times. I'm like, dang, that was really dope. That was fire.
Yeah.
So it's like, my inspiration comes from above because whatever he want me to write down, hey, look, I'm typing and writing it down. And when I read it, I'm like, whoa, that was fire. That was like a multi double entendre. So poetry, yeah, yeah, that's my thing. But I'm gonna ask you, can you give me, your first time standing before a crowd reciting your poetry? How did you feel, and what was your mental at that time?
The first time that I was in front of a crowd performing my poetry, it was at an open mic night. So I used to have a band back in the day called Pequea Sound.
Mm,
Where if people who watching Ray Love out there,
okay.
Rager Hall, aka Rager Hall. We used to go around different places performing, and there was an open mic night, and and I was hosting it.
Mm,
So there was a situation to where the band was playing background music in between different artists who would come up and either sing or do comedy or rap or do poetry. So
mhm,
there was this one dope poet that came up and really killed it, and I came behind them with another poem, and it shocked the whole place. Like they were crazy, and I wasn't nervous about it because at that time hosting was my thing, so I wasn't
Okay.
nervous.
Okay.
But I pulled out my little piece of paper with my poem on it, and I read it, and it landed good. Everybody loved it, so
Mm.
it was a good moment.
Man, that look, I ain't gonna lie. My first time on the stage, I was nervous. I was
Yeah,
fumbling over my words. My mouth was dry. I needed water. People looking at me, and I'm like, oh man, I anxiety. Ah, like it was just real bad anxiety for me, and like it didn't go good. And but I got through the poem and stuff like that, but it wasn't what I could do now. I had to
yeah,
really learn and come into myself as a poet, and also just rehearse and go over my material, and give the best performance. Like I do try to go out there and perform. At the last event that I was at, it was another poet there, and he did excellent. But I felt like my style was more of a performer. He was like, reciting his poetry.
yeah.
So I'm like, it was different styles, but it was great. So but one thing, Eric Curry, before we get off, I don't want to take too much of your time, but this year it's going down again.
Yeah.
Champion of Poetry
Oh,
Life. It's
oh,
going down again.
it's going down.
Champion of Poetry Life. I don't know the exact date, but it's gonna be sometime in the summertime. I'm gonna put
Got
this
you.
together, but it's the fourth champion of Poetry Life.
I got a
This is
question
the
though.
fourth year.
I got a question.
I might have an answer. Go ahead, go off.
Is the two-time champion gonna be in the tournament?
Oh man, I'm gonna reach out to him. I'm gonna give a shout out to Finn the Human. The current champion of Poetry Life, two-time champion, Phineas White. Look him up. He's dope. He won it twice, landslide. Hey, and what he did in the last poetry tournament was amazing.
Yeah,
The
it
clutch
was
writing at the end. The clutch
fire.
writing at the end.
Yeah.
And see, and look, I want to say about this poetry tournament. Like this is a tournament like no other poetry tournament. This is test your writing skills, your quick writing ability, then your performance and stuff like that.
Yep.
You go through all process of poetry writing in this tournament. So this is not just you come up here and just spit your poetry. You got to get through the written part first.
That's it.
You got to get through the read. We got to know that you can write, and we
That's
got
it.
to and it got to translate to us.
If
And
you can't
like,
write, you can't take flight.
look, that is a fact. And I had a young lady last year. She was dope, but her written is just couldn't compare to what like you said. Some people perform. She submitted a performing piece, and the thing is, we couldn't get with it. It was like, I see where you're going, but this is you should perform this instead of sitting in. And so it's gonna be. And we had drama. We had drama. We had people drop out the tournament. We had
Yeah.
people returning. We had judges drop out. We had
Yeah.
a replacement judge come in. Hey, last year, hey, it was entertaining. Like it wasn't
Yes,
it
it
wasn't a
was.
dull moment.
Very
It was a
entertaining.
so we're gonna run it back again this year. And Eric Curry, you was a judge in that tournament. Give me your thoughts when you was in that position to be the judge.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, when you first came to me about being a part of the Portrait Life tournament, um, I wasn't expecting for the poets to be this dope.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I got the chance to see their poems, see their performances, I was like, man, this is the NBA of poetry right here.
Look,
This is some really good stuff. So
look,
I was sold in, man. I really enjoyed being a judge in the tournament. It's not an easy thing to judge between heavyweights like that.
look. And we had people from all over. This wasn't just people in Dallas or people in Texas. We had people in London. We had people that was
Yep.
in South Carolina. We had people that was in New York. We had people that was all over. So this is not just a local thing. Hey, this is all gonna be on StreamYard and stuff like that. Hey, so it's gonna be up here, so people gonna see what you got going on. But this year, this sometime in this summertime, I ain't got a specific date right now, but it's going down, Eric Kerr. Hey, are you gonna return to be in the tournament, or you want to be a judge? What's up? Let me know.
I will return as a judge.
Okay, okay. Hey, you didn't want to go against that defending champion of Portugal Life?
uh, I do not. I do not want to go against Finn. He's been working on some things, and this
Look,
man, I think that if he joins the tournament this year, he's gonna be a force to reckon with. That guy is
look,
dope, man.
look. I mean that will be it'll be history. Three peat.
Three P.
I've been doing this. This is gonna be the fourth year that champion of Portugal Life been existing. The first year was uh I forgot who Eric Boyd. He was the first champion of Portugal Life. Eric Boyd, and then Phineas came second year. Then he came back, won it twice in a row. Now this is the fourth year. Can he do it again? Will he be a judge? We don't know. I'm gonna reach out to him and see what he gonna do. But hey, Portugal
There we
Life,
go.
we still in effect.
There we go.
So man, before we get up out of here, if you got any words of wisdom for the people out there, I want you to just drop a couple jewels for them. And then at the end, introduce yourself, let people know where to find you at, and tell people what you got going on. So, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the flow.
Appreciate that, TK. So if you are watching, I want to try to encourage you to not to give up. There's a lot of things going on in the world today, and it's important for you not to throw in the towel. Uh, Regardless of what you may be faced with, regardless of what you may encounter, whatever the situation may be, don't give up. Don't give up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and darkness doesn't last always. The morning does have to come. So if you want to see more of me, then you can follow me on Facebook at Eric Curry, where I post random things. But if you want to see more of me in the show that I have with my two counterpart hosts, who are all they're funnier than me, by the way. When you see them, say that Eric said that they were funnier than him. You can find us at Too Big for That Show on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Too Big for That Show, and we'll come right up, smiling, cheesing like this, and then you'll be able to see us live and in action. There we go. And if nothing else, are you not entertained? There we go.
Hey, most definitely. Hey, are you not entertained? Hey, but thank you for being a part of this show. Hang around before when this stuff in. I gotta chop it up with you. But I greatly appreciate you being a part of this podcast. Thank you for this interview. Hey, the doctor Eric Curry, man. Shout out to you, man.
There we go. Holla.
So I'm gonna drop you down. Yeah, that was Dr. Eric Curry. Hey, I hope y'all enjoyed the jewels that was dropped. It was just a conversation when I had, and that's what I like to have with people. It's just a conversation. I don't want to do no interview where it's just you're trying to get the dirt on them. I'm just let's just have a conversation. Let's talk. If you want to get into your life, we can get into your life. Just come up here and drop some jewels for the people that they want that content. So again, this TK the Poet. Hey, also, like I said, February 29th, we dropping my portrait album. I Am Him, aka Himothy. No other. Hey, we ain't finna get into that. I was gonna drop a couple bars for y'all, but I'm gonna let y'all wait for that. But hey, I might might come over here and do a couple poems that's on the album. So hey, we don't know, but cop the album, Poetry Life. Hey, I'm gonna tell you where you can follow us on everything. Everything TK the Poet or everything Black Room Media. Y'all gonna see all the little letters come up when I do the edit. Hey, y'all gonna see it the real. But hey, but again, y'all can go on Facebook, Portrait Life. Look me up, TK the Poet, TkDaPoet, or follow us on all social media platforms. Y'all know it, Black Room Media. We here. And until then, hey, we out. And I holla at